But elections are won on the margins by a coalition of little things that hit people personally. Trump gets this. He feels your pain in the... Kamala ran on democracy, which is the most important issue. Without the political skill to sell it, it added up to nothing. Meanwhile, Trump was running on, I'll make the go down. He never shut up about bad shower pressure, light bulbs, and low-flow toilets. When Chuck Schumer said in 2016 that for every blue-collar Democrat we lose in western Pennsylvania, we're going to pick up 2 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philly, Ohio, Illinois, and Wisconsin. Yeah, how'd that work out?
Bill Maher is sounding the alarm, saying his beloved Democratic Party is headed for serious trouble, and he's not sugarcoating it. He believes the party he once admired is losing its way fast and drifting toward being forgotten. According to Maher, the DNC is only a weak version of what it used to be, and if it doesn't reset soon, it could disappear from real influence altogether. His criticism is sharp, clever, and delivered with the kind of humor that makes people laugh even while feeling uncomfortable.
I fear the Democratic Party is at risk of becoming a ghost brand too. Like Sears, it used to be mighty and ascendant and popular. Sears once accounted for 1% of the entire American economy, 41% of the appliance market, and built the country's tallest tower. Democrats once controlled Congress and the Supreme Court, or at least competitive. Now, even at a time when President Trump is turning 250 years of democracy into jeans shorts,
Bill Maher has been taking a close look at the Democratic Party, and what he sees worries him. There was a time when Democrats were powerful and popular, especially with working people. They stood for big ideas, filled huge venues, and felt unstoppable. Back then, the party had real energy and excitement. But today, Maher says that version of the party is almost gone. What was once a uniting force now struggles to connect with voters who once helped it win elections. The message feels confusing, the goals seem scattered, and more people are questioning whether the party still matters. Maher warns that if Democrats don't reconnect with everyday Americans and focus on realistic solutions, they could become nothing more than a memory of better days. His criticism is direct, fearless, and mixed with his trademark humor.
the Democrats have their lowest rating in 35 years, 63% unfavorable. What happened? I don't know. What happened to Sears? Used to be synonymous with the American dream because it kept faith with what the customer wanted. Did we love Sears? No, but that was besides the point. You just went. It was like an Avatar movie that sold tools.
Maher says the Democratic Party has strayed far from where it started, and the damage is now obvious. Once known as the party of working people, Democrats have lost touch with the voters who gave them strength. Maher believes they've walked away from everyday Americans to chase ideas that feel distant and out of touch. Their message doesn't inspire like it used to. What once gave people hope now leaves many feeling annoyed or uninterested. Because of this, voters are looking elsewhere for leaders who actually understand their problems. Maher warns that if Democrats don't change direction, they won't just lose elections, they'll lose relevance altogether. His message is intense, non-stop, and filled with his familiar humor, a warning the party can't ignore.
It used to be where your family bought everything, from school clothes to appliances to your family Christmas portrait. Now, Sears is a great place to go if you want to be alone. But you better hurry. Sears used to have 3,500 stores, and now it has 5. Same thing happened to Playboy, except in silk pajamas and a captain's hat. For 66 years, Playboy magazine was also a fact of American life. Sears sold your father a mattress, and Playboy was what he hid under it.
Maher often compares the Democratic National Committee to companies like Sears and Playboy, and he has a clear reason for it. He sees their stories as warnings. These brands were once huge American icons that shaped culture and dominated their fields. But when they failed to change with the times and listen to their customers, they faded fast. Maher says the same thing could happen to the Democratic Party if it doesn't act quickly. Once widely popular, the DNC now risks becoming stuck by ignoring everyday Americans and holding on to ideas that no longer connect. Maher's comparison isn't just clever humor, it's a serious warning, delivered with sharp insight and his usual wit, urging the party to change before it's too late.
The basic problem we have in America is conservatives think the liberals are insane, and they're not completely wrong. Now, I don't think most liberals are insane, but neither do they make it clear they disapprove of the ones who are, and their cowardice in not marginalizing their own crazies has been their downfall. I couldn't get Neil deGrasse Tyson, a genius scientist and preeminent scientific voice in the media, to agree that it was ridiculous for Scientific American and The Atlantic to be claiming that separating sports by doesn't make sense.
This is what really frustrates Maher, the left's refusal to accept basic science and objective facts. He argues that many on the left are so deeply invested in woke ideology that facts and logic don't seem to matter anymore. Feelings come first, and truth gets filtered through personal beliefs instead of reality. Maher believes this way of thinking is not only ridiculous, but dangerous. Decisions and policies are shaped by what feels right to activists instead of what actually works. To him, it's no longer about fixing problems or making life better. It's about protecting an identity or belief system. Maher says choosing emotion over evidence isn't just annoying, it leads straight to failure. Ignoring facts has real and often harmful consequences.
People ask me all the time, why haven't you ever had Hillary or Bill Clinton on? Why didn't you have Kamala on during the last campaign? You think we don't ask? We ask these people every week. They say no. It took 8 years and a petition to get Obama on. And these are people, all people I voted for. Think about that. They're afraid to come on the show of a guy who voted for them.
Here, Maher turns his focus to the Democratic leadership and their habit of avoiding places they can't control. He points out how major figures from Hillary Clinton to Kamala Harris often skip open, unscripted conversations. Maher says their refusal to appear on his show isn't about being busy, it's about being afraid of honest discussion. These are politicians he personally supported, yet they avoid even friendly settings if tough questions might come up. Maher warns that this behavior shows a party that no longer trusts its own message or ability to connect with voters. When leaders hide behind handlers instead of speaking openly, trust fades. His criticism isn't about loyalty, it's about Democrats drifting away from transparency and common political sense.
I've been telling Democrats for years the Republicans are going to steal pot from you as an issue, and now Trump says,
we're looking at reclassification and we'll make a determination.
What'd you expect? He is the master at winning votes from small groups who are passionate about one issue, picking up a couple percent here, a couple there, until on election night it's YMCA.
Maher contrasts this with Donald Trump, who focused on issues that everyday Americans actually cared about. Trump talked directly about jobs, money, immigration, and national pride, topics that affected people's daily lives. He didn't get caught up in abstract arguments or trendy cultural debates. Instead, he spoke plainly and promised action. That clear focus made people feel heard. Maher points out that voters want leaders who listen and take action, not ones chasing the latest trend. While other politicians focused on ideology, Trump centered his message on practical results. That approach built loyalty and trust, showing that staying relevant means serving people, not politics.
In his first term, he signed an executive order banning TikTok and then got trounced by young voters. So in 24, he campaigned on saving it. And apparently every Tide Pod eater responded, because his youth vote was up 21%. In his first term, he called cryptocurrency not money and based on thin air, and said it seems like a scam. And who better to know a scam? Well, that was then. Now he's on more coins than Julius Caesar. Overnight, he became the crypto candidate as opposed to Biden, the crypt keeper candidate.
Maher also explains how Trump managed to win back voters he had lost earlier. Trump noticed his message wasn't fully connecting with younger voters, so he adjusted instead of stubbornly repeating himself. He sharpened his message and focused on themes like opportunity, national strength, and future stability. He made sure his words reached people across different age groups. Voters responded not just to what he said, but to the fact that he was willing to change and listen. Maher stresses that in politics, staying relevant is everything. Trump's ability to adapt helped him reconnect with voters and succeed at the polls, proving that flexibility beats rigid ideology.
Chalk up another 1 or 2%. Democrats used to own Silicon Valley. Those California do-gooder liberals who wanted to save the planet. Yeah, right. Trump came along and said, regulations? We don't need no stinking regulations. Not only did he win them over, in his second inauguration, they were all sitting up on the stage with him. There was an entire section that looked like the full range of the autism spectrum.
Trump also gained support from large parts of the tech industry by cutting back regulations that Democrats had placed on businesses. His idea was simple: innovation grows when government interference is reduced. By removing heavy rules, Trump presented himself as someone who understood business and economic growth. At the same time, Democratic-led states like California piled on taxes, labor rules, and regulations. The result was predictable. Companies and startups began leaving for states where it was easier and cheaper to operate. Maher notes that this overregulation turned California from a tech leader into a warning sign. Trump's approach appealed not just to business leaders, but also to workers who knew fewer rules could mean more jobs and opportunity.
Elections are won on the margins by a coalition of little things that hit people personally. Trump gets this. He feels your pain in the... Kamala ran on democracy, which is the most important issue, without the political skill to sell it. It added up to nothing. Meanwhile, Trump was running on, I'll make it go down. He never shut up about bad shower pressure, light bulbs, and low-flow toilets.
Maher says Trump focused on fixing real problems instead of putting on a political show. He concentrated on issues like border security, inflation, jobs, crime, and the economy, and talked about solutions rather than symbols. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris and much of the Democratic Party seem more focused on appearances and carefully staged moments. Instead of dealing with everyday issues that affect families, they leaned into cultural gestures that looked good online but didn't change lives. Maher believes voters can see the difference between real leadership and political acting. Trump emphasized results, while Democrats focused on image and ideology. That difference, he warns, is hurting them badly. Voters want solutions, not lectures. Maher's message is clear. Just like brands, political parties survive by listening to people. Trump adapted and focused on real problems. Democrats didn't, and voters noticed. If the party doesn't change soon, it risks fading away. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more. Hagee070 Bro Hub site.